Reverend Dr. Pamela Green. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Oh, precious Heavenly Father, as we gather together today, we recognize that God's guidance is a central part of our faith. And we know, dear God, you are always present and willing to help us to make the right decisions as we are good stewards over our community, and especially in consideration of our elderly and our children. It is with assurance that whatever challenges we may face tonight, that we find the strength and courage to joined with your mind, and that we are one with you. Let your still small voice speak to us right now, Lord, as our ways are not your ways, and allow us to rise up to you instead of asking you to pull down to us. All of us with your wisdom, dear God, imbue our consciences with what you have asked of us, to be good stewards over our community. And we know, dear Lord, that ultimately it is up to us to choose to follow your guidance or our own self-will. So we trust that in this meeting you will lead us on the path of peace and purpose as we begin to take steps towards being good stewards over our committee and over our community and our children. It is in your darling Son's name that I pray. Let all of us who love the Lord say together, amen.
thank you very much. Ms. Sykes, you call the roll, please.
Mr. Jernigan?
Here.
Mr. Hill?
Here.
Ms. Young?
Here.
Mr. Sampson?
Here.
Mayor Webb?
Here.
Mr. Dial?
Here.
Mr. Kennan?
Here.
Chief Butler?
Here. Ladies and gentlemen, the Lake City Council has opened its public meeting since 1968. The city code has prohibited any person from making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks or becoming boisterous while addressing the city council. Yelling or making audible comments from the audience constitutes boisterous conduct. Such conduct will not be tolerated. There is only one approved manner of addressing the council, that's to be recognized and speak from the podium. As a reminder, persons are not openly carry a handgun or carry a concealed weapon or firearm while the governing body is meeting. Next is approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second to approve the agenda is published. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, public participation. I want to remind everybody we have a clock. It's 3 minutes for everybody. So please watch the clock in bed. When the bell rings, please stop. First one is Susan Adele.
Hello, I just want to say something very nice for a change, that during the storm, my neighborhood was hit with down trees blocking the roads. And Mr. Dial has always said, no matter what happens in this room, that the workers that are on the job, out there on the streets, are always taking care of Lake City. And please tell them thank you. Also, I wanted to tell you, Mr. Johnson, thank you for learning the policy and procedures, the statutes, rules, regulations, and not being afraid to speak up and tell us what those statutes say. Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Okay, next is Darian Jones.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Davion Jones, 219 Southeast Jeremy Place. What I'm about to say, I'm going to give accreditation first to Dr. Rashad Ritchie, PhD. He's a College of Law, Morris College in Atlanta, Georgia. And on one of his recent shows, he explained the public safety model. And I think when we hear public safety, we automatically think police. And I sent this video to a couple in the room here today, a few in the room here today. that policing and public safety are two different things. And if we as a community depend on Chief Butler and the police department to get us to a safer community, then we're gonna fail. Because policing is only one avenue to public safety. So a few more avenues, we have EMS, we have fire, we have police, but we also have social programs. And social programs is the most underfunded avenue in most communities, but it has the most impact on public safety. So we have to ask ourselves, why is that? Why do the police budget have more than our social programs budget? When police affect our public safety the least compared to social programs. Now, I'm not here to bash police officers. We need police. When I call the police, I expect for them to show up. We need police, right? Public safety is the overall goal. Social program is the avenue that impact the crime rate the most. Some of those social programs are recreation for all ages that consist in mentoring, various sports, and all kinds of things like that. The county does well in that area. We're providing some of those services. Community-based violence intervention programs. Cities who invest in social programs see a tremendous decrease in their violent crime. Therapy, counseling, workforce. We have Florida Crown. We are partners with Florida Crown, but we only do a limited partnership with them. Meridian. I don't know if we do anything with Meridian as a community. Those are social programs that we should be investing in. As I said, we expect Chief Butler to solve the public safety issue by himself and with his team. We are not only setting ourselves up to fail, but we're setting Chief Butler up to fail. Again, public safety is the overall goal. Policing is only one road, and we need to invest more in the social programs. Thank you.
Thank you. John Cole.
Good evening, I'm John Cole. I'm with Kids Feeding Kids. We teach kids how to grow food and teach them life skills and retail skills through our thrift store. We work specifically with kids through juvenile justice. I personally worked with troubled teens for many years. One thing I've learned from working closely with them is that they just need positive direction. They need programs to help teach them positive skills, and that there is hope in life. One pattern I've seen here is that there's a pattern of a cutting program for kids, unless it's sports. There's so many kids we meet that aren't athletic at all and are just searching for something in life. There's nothing for them here. If you look at social media and speak to your voters, you will find out quickly that people really want more for their kids in Lake City. Every time they ask me why there isn't programs for the kids, I give them your number and come to ask you. There's no urgency to help our youth from a governing source. It's mostly done through individuals and churches. As leaders, you should be working diligently to find funding for our kids. There are many studies that show the success rate of kids in life because of positive programs. So to have any leaders just cut programs for kids shows a lack of leadership. Put yourself in their shoes. What did you do as kids? The difference today is that social media is actually consuming them. They need to be out doing things, which we need programs to offer them. I'm sure there's a way to find funding by cutting something that is not as important as helping to keep our kids safe and helping them find something positive in such an evil world. I'm asking you to all get together and show your voters that they can count on you to have their kids' best interests at heart. Helping a child now with programs will help keep them from committing crimes in the future.
Thank you. Next is Reverend Dr. Pamela Green.
Yes, good evening. I want to be your eyes and ears from an incident that occurred this weekend, which was the funeral for Mariah Smith, the 12-year-old that was watching television and doing her homework at 9 p.m. with her grandmother and was shot and killed. I want to thank Councilman Hill and thank Councilwoman Young for being at her funeral. She's not a member of my church, but she's a member of the community, and so is her family.
She's a member of my family.
And she's a member of your family. So those of you that weren't there, because I don't want this death to go in vain. She was 12. She was watching television. She was doing her homework. And this is the part that we all know how horrible that is if it was what our own child. It's just unimaginable that a family has to go through this. And we know that she's one of many across, but she's in our community. But the thing that was so sad beside the tears, 12 of her friends got up to give their memories of her. The memory of her was, we've sat around, we've talked about how we're gonna live together, how we're gonna go to college together, how we're gonna get jobs together. They had hopes and dreams. And then this little one says, but now it's all gone. Now we can't do it. If that does not touch you all, when you think about the funding and how changes in funding, this was 12 little girls whose dream, they said, died because their friend died. Can you imagine the other 12-year-olds that are afraid to sit and do their homework, for heaven's sake? In their grandmother's house, a place that's supposed to be the place of joy, fun, safety, and security, because a bullet might come through their home and kill them. I wish you could have looked into the eyes of that mother. I wish those of you that did not attend and did not think it was important enough for this little girl to take 2 hours out of your time to go down to her funeral and let the family know that you cared enough about the death of their child. I wish you could have looked in that mother's eyes. She is there. When she thought about what happened to her daughter, I was there, and I will respect the time. I was there and I saw it. If this does not touch your heart, each and every one of you, if this doesn't touch your heart, what happened in our community, and make you make different decisions, I would have to say as a pastor, you have no heart.
Mr. Powell?
Man, if I was in the church, I said let the church say amen. Man, just let me say this, the budget reflects the conscience and the priorities of a community. If you want to look at a community that values parks and green space, they budget for it. A community that values economic development, they budget for it. A community that values their youth and their children, they budget for them also. Activity for youth is as much an issue in our community as is potholes, as is Montgomery Lake, as is Gwynn Lake, as anything else. What happened to morale was our 9/11. It was our George Floyd moment. If that moment is not enough for you to think about doing some funding for program for prevention, then we lost. We can't police our way out of this. We need some prevention. The city of Lake City left a recreation program years ago. I left city council in 1998. We still have a recreation department, I'm proud to say. Roger Lee was the director, Wayne Ranger was working, Mario was working. We had a recreation department. Now when it left, I don't know. So since that time, the city have not been contributing any money towards recreation or protecting our young people. I think now is the time to do it. If you can't do it now, then you'll never do it. That's the young lady died, 12 years old. But prior to that, just think, man, every week, every day week, we read in the Lake City Reporter or read on the police department website a shooting. Where? Northeast Lake City. The police department have collected more casings from gunshots, from bullet wounds, than people got water in their refrigerator. They got more bullet casings in their evidence room than they got dope in the evidence room. We need to do something, man. This city council got the power and the will, money. People don't, you can't put no money. What else you gonna do? In Jacksonville, Florida, now I may run over, man. In Jacksonville, Florida, they spend a lot of money on recreation, a lot of money on program. Got a YMCA, they got a boys club, a girls club, all of that. Yeah, and they still got murder. 200 a year. Talk to the police chief, talk to the people over there, they'll tell you, if you didn't have those programs, you would have 200 murders, you have 400 murders. So yes, money wasn't going to stop it, but it would have mitigated. So man, I'm begging you on that. When you get, I'll talk more about when we get in the budget process. But it's time now for you to put some money where you talk is. It's time to fund some programs. Don't let morale death go in vain. George Floyd's daughter said, my daddy changed the world. Mariah Smith gonna change Lake City. Either you all gonna do it or we'll do it through somebody else. But I'm gonna tell you, this can't go like this. You can't talk about you just need more police. Somebody said on the money talking, lock the thugs up. Yeah, the person who did need to be held responsible. But what about the 12 kids that Dr. Green just talked about? What we gonna do about them? What about the people afraid to leave their house at night out of fear? It's in your hands, man, Councilmember. And I'll talk more when I get up for the budget part of it, because there's some things in the budget that you can fund. If you can fund that, then you can fund for programs for youth.
Mr. Warren?
Mayor, Council, Sylvester Warren, 930 Northeast, Joe Coney. Mayor, I want to at least give yourself and the council members an opportunity to apologize to the Black community and also give y'all an opportunity to reverse the irresponsible vote that took place last week to prevent funding that would have put things in place to better the situation that we don't have any future Mariahs. And just like everybody behind me, Mariah mattered to a lot of this community. And Mariah is gonna be the driving force that are gonna force people to do things unconventional. Desperate times call for desperate measures. And I just wanna know, is anybody willing to apologize to the Black community, and are any of y'all willing to make those changes? That's a question, man, before I get on to my next piece.
Okay, we voted for next year's budget,
Okay.
put money in the budget.
That's fine. So Mayor, give me my approach.
Yes.
May I approach? Can you stop my time while I approach, please?
I'll give you a couple.
Okay.
We're gonna say the 3 minutes.
Yes, well, I'm approaching, so. So, Mayor, I tried to give y'all an opportunity, you wouldn't take it. So here's what I've done. I've made contact with B. Faithful Coker, and she has Federal Agent Blythe number that I gave her. And so I've instructed her to call Agent Blythe and go ahead and set things up, because I'm gonna give all the evidence, and I'm gonna also testify and connect all the dots as to how her seat was blocked from her being appointed. Also, Mayor, I have met with Attorney Hank Cox. He is arranging now with the AUSA immunity package for me, and I will be sitting down doing a profit session. If you don't wanna support, this council don't wanna support Mariah and support the community, and then you've left me no choice that I guess federal attorneys cost at least $100,000 a piece, and I'm gonna give all the information to make sure that every council member that do not want to fix this, you are officially indicted. Thank you.
That finishes up public comments at this time.
I know y'all not here about budget. I know we talked about recreation and the importance of recreation to all youth. And I'm sitting here puzzled as of everyone else on why there is a lack of funding for recreation. And it seems that it's because of the entity that's asking for it. If it was Richardson Community Center who has not put on programs for the youth, you still wanna throw money at them. You'll give them the money. It seems like when we start asking for money that we have paid into, it's a problem. Same thing with the Black Chamber. The chamber is, many cities, multiple cities have a Black Chamber. Why? Because we don't get the services we need from the regular chamber. You have regular members that say they don't get any services from the chamber. But every time we come up here, stuff gets shot down. Now, I wanna talk about the fire assessment. I do agree you have to have fire assessments, but you also have a, assessment on the north side of the community. What's that assessment called? Special assessment that we have over here. The CRA. We get taxed for the CRA. Most of the money get used downtown. The reason y'all need more money for the fire department is because we have a new fire department. I'm not saying we didn't need a fire department out there, but you need to do a special taxing district, because that's who's gonna benefit from out there. That's who's gonna benefit from that. So just like you got the CRA that we over here on the north side pay in, that they don't pay in, because they're saying it don't go to us. Y'all need to look into saying, we need a special taxing district for out there. All the growth is going out there. Nothing growing over here, but we getting the fees. You coming to the poorest side of the community and telling us we got to pay for out here. That's not fair. That's not fair. So when you do the budget, you need to look at that. Why we got a CRA? We need a special taxing district for out there. Now, I wanna go back to the Black Chamber, because I didn't get a good reason why. I didn't get a good reason why it was a no. I didn't even ask for more than what they asked for. I asked for either the same amount or split it in half. Excuse me? Oh, it was, okay, I just came, sorry.
Okay, that's all I have on, public comments. We'll open the public hearing on proposed fire protection assessment rates. Brandon Jackson, want to speak on this?
Mayor, council people, how are you? I'm here just to kind of piggyback on what the young lady said before about specifically about the fire fee. So my family owns the Lake City RV Resort here in town, and last year our property taxes were like a hair over $20,000, which included the fire assessment fee. And so the reason I'm here today is I got a notice about a month ago that we're looking at only the fire assessment fee was gonna be $17,000, not including our regular property taxes. So I just really came to voice my concern. I think, to go up, 3 times is, I'm all for supporting the fire department, but I just think that, I just think that's way too much, and we might be able to find a better way to fund stuff like that. We have a couple other RV parks in other counties, and it's just nowhere near that much, so I think from the city side, it certainly discourages my family from trying to grow that business, and I think it would, it wouldn't really encourage new businesses to come in if you're facing a fee like that. So I just wanted to come in and let you guys know my feelings, and I do appreciate your time.
Thank you. The next one is Sheila Haggard.
My name is Sheila Haggerty. I live at 1080 Southwest Old Dogwood Terrace in Lake City, Florida. I'm here not only concerned about our fire protection, but the taxes in general. And these are the reason why. Fire protection shouldn't go up if I can't get a discount rate as assessed on my property by property insurance saying they're too far away. Therefore, I don't get any fire protection. I don't get it in the county. I have property in the county and I have property in the city. The other reason is we don't have a fire hydrant within over 200 feet away. They're all farther than that. So we don't even have a way either in the county or in the city where I live to put the fire out quick enough. So there's no reason to have the fire go up again when I can't even be protected the first 2 times. This would be the 3rd time they're going up. The other thing on the agenda as far as the taxes go is our roads. The Alligator Park down here where veterans go around it looks completely mangled. It looks horrific. My road has not been paved that I know of in 16 years. It might be longer. The Florida state statute says, according to the state of Florida, that every 8 to 12 years, the roads are supposed to be resurfaced or repaved or fixed. I asked them years ago when they were going to do this with our road, and they still haven't done it. On top of it, we have an ordinance down in our area that says no big trucks. Somebody sold one of the homes to a roofing company, and now they have these big, huge trucks coming through there, which there's an ordinance that they're not supposed to, but they continue to come through there to deliver shingles and everything else. So there's no reason for you to go up on my taxes. I can't get my roads fixed. I can't enjoy the park. I can't get fire protection, yet you want my taxes to go up. Furthermore than that, on the tax docket, according to this, and this is the one that says the city of Lake City, we have Lakeshore Hospital taxes at 1 cent for a hospital that's been closed for well over 2 years, especially during COVID. I know that for a fact. I had a friend that worked there and she no longer had a job. She was like 3 years within retirement and they closed the hospital. Then you have your Swanee River Management. We'll get into that too, because as far as waste goes, all the stuff that's on the side of the road is supposed to be county maintained and city maintained according to their own provisions of having so many feet away from the roadways. The problem is all these trees that they want to, sorry, I like trees, but tree hug is actually incriminating on our property and dropping. And then when all that drops, y'all don't come and pick it up. I have trash, I have pictures of FPL, TT, and HOD during our lights out. I drove all the way around our block. There was lights all the way around our block. I called and I said, hey, you know, what's going on? They were down in parking lots, TT and HOD. So I don't think our taxes should go up. Thank you.
Be Faithful Coker.
Good evening. My name is Be Faithful Coker, 636 Southeast Baird Drive. I asked to speak about the assessment, but I also want to address the interlocal agreement if my time runs out. Then I ask that you allow me to come back and speak on the interlocal agreement. I am a single mother with 2 children. I don't have any extra money to give you. I've spent legal fees over this last 2 years dealing with the city of Lake City and the seats that I'm not seated in. So that income that I would have received, I didn't receive. I'm spending money. I don't understand what the additional fire assessment is supposed to cover. I don't understand how the council can increase cost when I am spending every extra penny I have to ensure that my 2 minor children have a well-rounded life so that they have an opportunity to do something outside of Lake City, because we have some issues. I spent the last 10, 12 years talking to this council about the necessity of programs for young people. And some of you have participated, and I appreciate it, and they appreciate it. But we stopped doing anything and we started focusing on other things. And in the last 2 or 3 years, our children are paying the price of it. I was at a store a couple of weeks ago, and the store had a fundraiser, and they asked me if I would round my change up to the next dollar so that it would go to our local Girls and Boys Club. So I informed them that we don't have a local Girls and Boys Club, and they insisted that we do. I asked for the location. I told them to go ahead and round up, but I then went to where they told me it was, and I knew there was no Boys and Girls Club. So I'm not sure why they were collecting that money. But I know that if the city can create an assessment to address the needs that are absolutely worthy needs of the fire department, then we can create an assessment to ensure that our young people have programs so that there are some options, there's some additional resources. Columbia County isn't even in the top 75 percentile of performing schools in the state of Florida, so I won't even mention what that is for the United States. If we're gonna give the kids, if we're gonna give them an opportunity to take advantage of what it means to be a child, we've gotta provide them with adequate services. If we can create a fire assessment, and you're asking me to take money that I don't already have, and instead of spending it on my children, that I'm spending it on the fire department, then I'm gonna tell you that fire and safety is no more important to me than the safety and well-being of my children. I do ask that you give me 3 minutes to speak on the interlocal agreement, and I appreciate your time.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Bowden.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to voice my opposition to the special assessment. I consider that a tax. But more importantly, Mr. Mayor, I kind of agree with Ms. George that it appears to me that if you're going to do a special assessment, then you might want to look at the possibility of creating a special assessment in the area where this new fire station is located. I know that the county got a special assessment or there's a lighting in the subdivision. If you want to have street lights outside in the area, and the people in that area pay a certain assessment just for their street lights. Well, it seems to me, ma'am, that those of us who live within the core city, we got access to the fire department. Then I understand that there's a need, but what I don't understand is why should I pay for that need? It's really was put out there to serve the west side of town, the business community. Add a tax onto the hotels or whatever. But I don't think that those of us who live within the city limits, live within the core city, should fund this through special assessment. There gotta be another way you can do it. I'm not saying that the fire department don't need to fund it, but I'm saying that this mechanism is not fair to the citizens of Lake City. I don't see the benefit for me to have to pay an additional assessment for fire when I already have fire within a mile of my house, a fire protection within a mile of my house. So I'm opposed to it, and I think that you should look at another opportunity, another way to fund the fire department other than special assessment.
Thank you. Mr. Warren?
Mr. Mayor, Sylvester Warren, 930 Northeast, Joe Coney. I think I've talked to several people about this, and one of the things that I've learned about members on this council, they're hard-headed, they think they know everything, but you got citizens who put in the core work, who do the core investigation. And we had an opportunity to save $3-point-some million by allowing the fire department to get that building next to the fairground. Would have saved us $3-point-some million. But no, y'all want to let different people whisper in your ear, it's a bad idea, maybe who it come from, it won't work. I'm not saying that West 90 don't need a fire department, not against fire departments, right? I think people should have those services. But if you grow an area, then the people who are growing that area should pay that service. Because where I live at, man, the first new building that we've put in, I just put it in, commercial. And the last building that went in the black community, commercial, was 1943. So there's no growth within the core community, which is the poorest community, which is Ms. Young's district, and I don't know whether or not she's gonna fight hard against it or what she's gonna do. But I know one thing, is that that community cannot suffer any more additional money being spent. What you're gonna do, and maybe that's a part of the plan, like I've been telling my people in my community, that you're gonna run up the fire assessment.
So people are gonna have to choose between paying the fire assessment and having their house put on tax roll. And there's gonna be people down at the courthouse bidding on their properties, right? And then you come in, right, and you force them to either go to a nursing home, you get their houses, and you get enough of that property, and then you do like you have done other places, you gentrify it. Right? I mean, I see this systematic play. Like I understand it. Like it's what I do. Right? So I understand the real estate. I understand the concept. I see why all the realtors are moving up here, why Daniel Krafts and all those boys and the Dix boys have moved in close proximity of our community. They thought they were gonna do a land grab. But fortunate enough, some people were smart enough to go ahead and beat them to that land grab. And so now there's a little disappointment and frustration. But to sell out your people for a tax on a fire station that could have been avoided, and to make poor people continue to pay for rich people, or people who have more resources, financial resources than them, it's wrong, man. It don't matter how you slice the pie. On the most critical issues, y'all scared to spend money. On the less critical issues, y'all will give them the heaven in the sky. And that has been the method of this council and this leadership that I am disgusted with. And the makeup of this council is disgusting because of who it affects, and they won't do nothing about it. Thank you.
Okay, that's everybody that signed up for that. So we'll close the public hearing, move into City Council Resolution 2023-107. Mr. Cannon, would you read that by title?
City Council Resolution number 2023-107, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Lake City, Florida, constituting the FY 2023-2024 Annual Fire Assessment Resolution relating to the provision of fire protection services, facilities, and programs in the City of Lake City, Florida, reimposing fire protection assessments against assessed property located within the City of Lake City for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2023, approving the rates of assessment, approving the final assessment roll, confirming and supplementing the 2023 preliminary rate resolution, providing for severability and providing an effective date.
Okay, is there a motion that the City Council Resolution 2023-107? Got a fire assessment somewhere in there.
Mayor, we do also have Susan Chutley Gum on Zoom, and also Eden Camp, who did the fire study, if any of the council has any questions.
Okay, anybody got any questions? I'm not in favor of raising it, and I hate that we're having to. We're having a hard time with the whole budget. And I've looked at it as hard as I can, and without cutting out other things, that's the only way we're gonna be able to pay it, because the rest of it is has to come out of the general fund, which will go somewhere else. I'm gonna make the motion, because if we don't set an assessment, we got into this a few years ago, and almost didn't have a fire budget. So I'm gonna make a motion to approve 2023-107. Is there a second?
Here, we also have the fire chief, if you have any questions as well. I don't know if you want to speak to this item.
You don't call for a motion, huh?
Okay. Y'all have any questions? I mean, we got to have a fire budget somehow. Chief, you wanna come?
My name is Charles Bowen. I live at 1100 Southwest Old Dogwood Terrace. And I was just wondering, how much is the fire tax gonna go on each and every dwelling, each house? How much is it gonna go up?
Okay, well, that's why I'm asking the chief to come up.
So to answer that question, thank you for asking me to come up. Each individual residence pays $252 currently a year. So we're asking to increase that a total of $60 over the year, which is $5 a month. We haven't raised this tax in over 6 years. If we would have raised that tax each year for those 6 years, it would have been 83 cents a month or $10 a year. And we've waited, we've pushed it till now we're at $60. $60 will fund our budget. And if I can, clarify some of the concerns that were brought up. Lake City Fire Department is a Class 3 ISO rating. What that means is that what the insurance companies look at, how we perform our job, how we put fires out, how many people we get there, how much equipment we bring, and our water supply. Our water supply in Lake City is very good. The concern that the lady brought up about Dogwood, she said the hydrant is not within 200 feet. We recognize 1,000 feet because we carry 5-inch hose on our trucks. We can lay 1,000-foot line to bring that hydrant to the fire. That's what ISO does when they come in and do their study every 3 years. And we have surpassed those studies to give us a really good ISO rating for a small jurisdiction. So we do have a good ISO rating, which reflects the insurance rating. Station 2 is not the reason that this ISO rating is going, or this assessment is going up. The reason it's going up is because we haven't increased it in 6 years, and we've gotten behind the 8 ball. If you look at our budget compared to last year, it actually has decreased a little bit. So Station 2 has not impacted that and caused us to increase this assessment.
The difference is what was funded out of the general fund.
Correct. We've been supplementing the fire assessment for the past few years out of the general fund. And in order to not raise the millage rate, to increase the general fund, we're asking to raise the fire assessment, which until covers the fire budget. So if that answered any questions, or if you have any other questions.
You said something about the county had to raise the fire assessment as well?
The county has raised theirs the last 2 years, yes, sir. They did $50 last year, and they're doing $15 this year. Same thing, every 2 years we have to have a study. So every 2 years by statute, they come in and do a study, and they say, okay, in order to cover your fire budget, here's what you would need to do. The council says yes or no. The county does the same thing. And the county decided they've also waited about 6 years, and now they've gotten to the point where they had to raise $50 last year and another $15 this year. 16 this year.
So if we raise it this year, so what would it be next year?
It'll stay. They'll have to have another study 2 years from now, but it'll stay that rate for at least 2 years. We do a study, and y'all decide not to raise it. We don't have to raise it, but we've got to cover it now.
So you say the county raised it, they did it countywide?
Every 2 years, yes, sir. We have to do by statute, we have to do a study.
I get a second just to get it back. Second. Okay. Any comments, council?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
So Josh, to be clear, the 2024 budget is $90,723 lower than the 2023 budget.
Correct.
And so the only real difference is that the funding, instead of coming from the general fund, it's coming from increased revenues. Now, even so, the general fund's still contributing with the proposal $325,554.
Which they have to because of the government buildings and the exempt facilities.
Yeah, the city has to pay the exempt fire.
Correct. Yes, sir.
On there. I think now's a bad time to raise it. However, you've done a good job with the budget. It's decreased. That's one of the few budgets we've seen have a decrease. I think the option we chose limited the increase on single family as good as possible. I know we can't just, you can't just pick one department and say, okay, commercial's gonna fund the difference. You can't legally do that. You have to go by that study. It has to be by who's using the service. It's unfortunate fire's expensive, fire coverage is expensive, but someone has to pay for it. We'll either pay for it with this assessment, or instead of paying $325,000 out of the general fund will change to having to pay $689,545.
And just an example, 6 years ago, my engine cost $300,000. Today it's $800,000. Everything in our service, we just bought fire hose. Every piece of fire hose is increased. I just got another bill today that a contract is increasing. Everything has increased. And we did last year, we went ahead with the build of Station 2, we went ahead and added Station 2's fees and stuff prior years to start preparing for this. So we didn't just throw this on with a new station. So we've tried to do our due diligence. Our trucks are aging. My ladder truck is almost 20 years old. So we take care of our equipment. We don't come in here every year asking for a new fire truck at $800,000. But it's eventually gonna happen. We're gonna need new equipment. And the price in 6 years has increased double.
Any other questions, comments?
And it's, if I may, just as I said in the meeting, when we met concerning this assessment, and I think you kind of used the analogy that I used, kicking the can down the road. We're suffering from what did not happen in the past. But here we are as a council, we having to make a decision, and we have to, what's best for the city. And that's my mindset in everything. What's best for the city. And everything cost has gone up. I don't care what it is, how small the item, the price has increased. And I don't like increasing taxes. I don't like assessments. I don't like any of that. But listen, people, we have to do something. I do realize that. If it was anything around, we can do around assessments and raising taxes, I'm sure we would all vote there. But we're suffering because of what didn't happen. And it's all political. I'm gonna say it, I said it then, I'm gonna say it now, it's all political. And we have to get to the space where we're not doing things politically. That we do things because it's the right thing to do, it's the best thing for the city. So we're suffering, and I hate to face this group, I hate to face this crowd. And I hate people coming up and saying why taxes, why we shouldn't raise taxes. And just as I said in that meeting, I think about the elderly people who, and single parents, and even full parents, household parents, full household. It's just hard. It's hard living from day to day, and then you get a letter in the mail saying here are assessments.
Anything else? Ms. Ox, will you call the roll?
Mayor Witt,
Yes.
Mr. Jernigan,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
No.
Mr. Sampson,
Yes.
Ms. Young,
I'm gonna say no.
That's 3-2 that passed. At least we have a fire assessment. That's how they did it.
Another hearing right now. There's another hearing on this?
that was the final.
Another hearing on this?
Yes.
No,
No?
that was the final hearing.
Who gave the second?
Yeah.
All right, now we'll start the budget hearing. Angie, you ready for that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Or you'll do it from there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The purpose of this public hearing is to accept input from interested parties relative to the discussion, consideration, and tentative approval of the city's 2023-2024 proposed millage rate and operating budget. We offer the opportunity to all intenders to speak in regard to the budget, ask that all speakers identify themselves by name and address. At this time, the city finance director will provide a summary of the budget process and address those items essential to compliance with the state of Florida truth and millage trimming requirements.
The city council proposes a tentative millage rate of 4.9000 mils and a tentative capital and operating budget of $74,899,172 for fiscal year 2023-2024. Council action tonight constitutes a tentative budget hearing as required by state trim criteria and was announced to the general public by trim notices mailed by the Columbia County Property Appraiser on August 14, 2023. During this hearing, the following agenda will be addressed. The council will discuss the 2023-2024 millage rate and operating budget and allow citizens input as appropriate. The council will direct announcements of the tentative millage rate proposed for adoption and any increase, decrease, or no change. The city council will read by title millage resolution number 2023-101. The council will adopt millage resolution 2023-101 on the first reading. The city attorney will read by title budget resolution 2023-102. The council will adopt budget resolution 2023-102 on the first reading.
At this time, I declare the tentative budget hearing open for discussion for public input, followed by discussion by council. I have two people signed up, Mr. Bowden and Mr. Warren. Mr. Bowden.
Mr. Mayor, as I said in the public comments that the budget reflects the will of the community, it's supposed to anyway. And I want to speak to what's not in the budget, or what's in the budget and what's not in the budget. I think that this is an opportunity for this council, in light of what just happened a few weeks ago, what I call our George Floyd moment, to take that undesignated $100,000 that you got that's in the budget, bump that up to $200,000, and name that the Mariah Smith Stop the Violence Fund. Give it a name, and take that money and use it for preventing crime in the community, particularly youth crime. Now specifically now, if you're looking for some opportunities for money in the budget, I don't know what the contingency, but where's the contingency in the budget? How much is in the contingency?
The contingency was $150,000. There's also the ARPA funds that was, I believe, $4.7 million.
Okay, so there's money in the budget that we can fund activities for youth and for programs. I want to call your attention now to the city council budget in particular. And he can put it up on the screen, that'll be page 5. Page 5. The impact on the budget for the city council alone is $372,781. Of that, $101,882 is for salary. Also, Mayor, in there, I see a rental and lease for $9,054. For the research, that's for SUV for the council use. That's $10,000. I don't see a need for the citizen elect city to fund a vehicle for the city council to take trips to meetings or whatever. When I was on the city council, I went to almost every legal city meeting. I paid my way, got reimbursed, used my own vehicle. I suggest to you today, most cities that go to the city council, that go to the legal city meeting, they got their own vehicle and they get reimbursed. Why should a citizen elect city buy a SUV, lease an SUV to sit in the parking lot, but the city council use to go on a trip or to use to travel around? That's not fair. That's $10,000 you need to take out that budget, put it in the youth program. The other issue I got, Mayor, is that the raise, I think it's 3% or 5%. It's outdated code that says that the city council will get the raise that the general employees get. That's a I voted for it in 1988. I don't know what I was thinking, except I was being selfish. I look back over the night, one of the worst votes I ever did in my life. There is no way in the world you can justify as a council member that your service is equivalent to the employee. If the employee get a 10% raise, the code says you get a 10% raise. At some point in time, Mayor, the city council member will be making almost as much as an employee coming to work. I would suggest to you, Mr. Mayor, that needs to be changed. You can go ahead and do your 3% or 5%. I know we ain't got 3 minutes on the budget. You got a $74 million budget. I can know to talk about 3 minutes. You got people who get up in the middle of the night, go fix a gas line, a pothole or whatever. and you gonna get the same percentage of raise that they get? Matter, the taxpayers of this community already contribute to the salary. It said life insurance, health insurance, and disability. The taxpayers are gonna pay $73,000 in this budget year here for your life insurance, disability, and that. So if you wanna make some cuts to fund youth program, first look at the city council. Do y'all think that you all deserve a 3% raise? Have you done something for the citizens of Lake City that you should get a 3% or 5% raise? That every time the employee get a raise that you equivalent to the same thing? I said no.
I don't think we've had a raise in about 10 years.
I don't care if you might not deserve a raise in 10 years. The point I'm making to you, Mr. Mayor, is that if you tie your raise into the employees, that's making you saying that you are equivalent to the employees. That can't be the case, man. You get like $19,000 a year now for the city council member. I just look at a beginner salary for a police officer, $33,000. Only $13,000 more. Y'all making $20,000, they're making $33,000. That can't be right. Now, I don't think there's a city in our community, in the state of Florida, this side, that a council member getting paid $19,000. So if you want to find somewhere to cut some money, and look within the budget. But back to what I was saying earlier, man, you need to come up with a fund program for our youth program, and it needs to be called Mariah Smith Stop the Violence Fund. And give her that undesignated. Make it designated, give her a name to it, so that this young lady's death will not be in vain. It'll live forever. It'll be funded program to protect our young people in the future. So, ma'am, get back to the vehicle. I'd like to know, how can you all justify spending $10,000 on an SUV that's gonna be parked out here in the park, like don't usually go on trips, and for whatever reason? That's a perk that the citizens don't have, it's a perk that you're gonna deserve. And I would encourage you to take it out of the budget tonight.
Warren?
Mr. Mayor, all right. Council Sylvester Warren, 930 Northeast Oconee. It's just a lack of leadership on this board, I mean, across. Most of them are uneducated, most of them are uninformed on the issues, that is. And when people try to give them guidance, the bad part about it is that they don't listen. And we wouldn't be in this predicament if people listen to the citizens, the people who got them elected. But what happens is people get elected and they think they should supposed to tell the citizens how things are supposed to go. And the organization chart proved that's not the case, because the citizen sits at the top of the city council and the manager, of the mayor. But man, let me say this, that I would propose, and I am gonna propose to the Black community and any other community to follow, is that they turn all of their property into nonprofit organizations and put their houses and home in, and take all the houses off the tax roll. And then we ain't gotta worry about it, but you still gotta provide services. So we still won't lose no services, but you'll lose that tax revenue, and then the community can put that money back within their own community. So if you're going nuclear, we might as well go nuclear as a community. Here's another disappointing thing, that you, Ms. Young, and we gotta be fair, and it was a lack of leadership from this point, and we gotta make sure that we put the money there. That's a coward move. That's what cowards do, right? What you would have done if you meant right, just as well as you found money for the assessment for the fire department, let me ask you a question there. Do you find children's lives to be more valuable than a fire assessment? How can you put a price on a child's life and the crisis and the genocide that's going on predominantly in J community and predominantly in Mr. Baylor community? It is at its all-time worst. And I warned y'all it was gonna come to this. And I told y'all preventing things to put in place. Begged this council over and over and over. Now it's right here, and y'all wanna spend money everywhere but where the problem is at. Everywhere but where the problem is at. Why is that? None of you all at this point, man, you know what? I thought about something. I was watching, what's that thing, Vanessa? That show you watch at night. Murder, She Wrote. And I was thinking about Jessica Fletcher, J.B. Fletcher, Capricorn. You ever seen it? So she gave me an idea, man, and it brought back to mind what you said. You told me, Mr. Warren, reach my limit. Remember you told me that last council meeting?
Yes.
And Mayor, you know what? The community has reached its limit. And the only way that the community can do better is to get rid of everybody on the council and start over from scratch. And if that means bringing a federal indictment and hand over my phone and hand over pertinent information, by God, I'm gonna do it. And I'm gonna work with Be Faithful to get it done. And I think we're gonna have probably everybody sitting up here in front of me and indicted. And I'm telling you, you need at least $100,000 for a federal attorney, because I am gonna have that profit session with AUSA. And y'all boys know, and y'all ladies know, that I do have the information. It is so much in this phone and other places that everybody sitting up here is indicted. Thank you.
Okay, that's all I have signed up. Comments of council? Comments about the budget, or the millage budget?
The budget, I have a comment on that. I would like to see something that Mr. Bowden said, and the Reverend Preacher, right? I would definitely like to see a funding for the young lady who lost her life, Mariah Smith. And I would like to see at least $100,000 somewhere in that budget for that purpose. GoFundMe, monies that we could, for programs, and I would like to name that the Mariah Smith Foundation of funding. I would definitely like to see that in there somewhere. Where we're gonna get it from, there's several places that we can get it from, and for some reason, Mr. Bowden said another thing that sparked my interest too. I don't think we need a $10,000 vehicle just parked out there, and then we get ready to go on a trip to where I don't even like going on trips, to be honest with you. That car or a vehicle, I don't think there's a need for it. I think most of us, when we get ready to go places, we use our own personal vehicle. So there's two things that I would like to see removed. Oh, I'd like to see one added and the other one removed from the budget. And that's what I have to say.
Okay, anybody else? All right, if there's no further comment,
Yeah, I'd like to say something about the vehicle. Like you said, in the past, when if I'm going to a conference, I drive a personal vehicle. When I'm going to a dinner meeting, I used to drive a city vehicle. So the city vehicle that I drive, I can continue to get a vehicle from somewhere. So I think we need to take those $10,000 out of the budget. And if I may, a few years ago when I first got elected, I ran on trying to get the community that I grew up in cleaned up. And trying to do that, I was voted out of office. And I just can't seem to get past that. So whatever I can take, before I say what I'm gonna say, I was trying to get my community cleaned up where I grew up at. And people voted me out because I'm trying to do what's right for the elderly people in that community. And now, like I say, it's out of hand. And the things are being done in that community, nothing is being done about it. There have been no arrests on the people that's getting shot. So these guys that's doing this, they know they can do what they want to do. They speed through the neighborhood, ain't nothing happening to them. And y'all excuse me. They're speeding through my neighborhood, through the east side neighborhood. Ain't nothing being done. And the crazy part about it, they know who's doing it. There ain't nothing being done about it. So it's gonna continue to happen until something starts to be done about it. So whatever it takes that I can do, I'm gonna do it. But in doing that, it might cost me my seat, but oh well. That's all I have.
any other comments? If not, if there are no further comments regarding this matter, I now ask the city finance director to state for the record the taxing authority, the proposed millage rate to be adopted, the rollback millage rate and any change the tentative millage rate represents to the current year's millage.
The City Council of the City of Lake City, as a taxing authority, proposes a tentative tax on all property located within the City of Lake City, Florida, at a rate of 4.9000 mils for fiscal year 2023-2024 operating budget. The current year proposed operating millage rate is a 7.30% increase from the rollback, from the 4.5668 rollback millage rate as defined by Florida statutes, and represents no change from the previous year's millage rate of 4.9000 mils.
I now ask the city attorney to read millage resolution number 2023-101 by title.
City Council Resolution Number 2023-101, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Lake City, Florida, adopting a millage rate for the levy of ad valorem taxes for the city for fiscal year 2023-2024 and providing an effective date.
I call for a motion for adoption of millage resolution number 2023-101.
Mr. Mayor, motion for adoption of City Council Resolution 2023-101.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, any discussion? Ms. Sykes, you call the roll.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mr. Jernigan?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
No.
Ms. Young?
Yes.
And Mayor Witt?
Yes. Okay. I now ask city attorney to read budget resolution number 2023-102 by title.
City Council Resolution Number 2023-102, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Lake City, Florida, adopting the budget for fiscal year 2023-2024 and providing for an effective date.
I'll call for a motion for adoption of budget resolution number 2023-102.
Mr. Mayor, I make that motion of 2023-102.
I'll second.
Mr. Mayor, I have comments on this.
Sure.
So going back, this is the first time since I've been on the board as we've been doing the budget that we've added 100,000 for undesignated programs. And I think being where we're spending the money, how we're spending the money is crucial. I can see an expansion to that from ARPA funds. We have ARPA funds sitting there. Going back to Mr. Jernigan's point, I can see making a separate programs-based 150,000 that's sitting there particularly for community-based violence intervention. I can see that. I think it's shown to be effective in communities. The question is, how do we manage the disbursement? Because it's only as good as the programs that are actually done. I think naming it after the young lady, that makes perfect sense. Ongoing funding will only come about by how the community supports it and how this council supports the funding. But I know we have, I think it was mentioned there was $4.2 million sitting there. I would like to see in your motion to add that underneath the public assistance as a $200,000 dispensation separately, as Mr. Jernigan had mentioned. 200,000 from the ARPA funds, specifically for gun violence related community intervention programs.
And you want to name it after?
Yes.
Okay. I'll second.
So you're amending your motion
I'd
to?
like to amend that to exactly what Mr. Sampson.
And I'll continue to second. Okay, anything else from council?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Mayor.
Speak on that. I'm on now.
Okay, speak.
I was on public comment. I don't know whether you missed it or not, but
I have a script here that they give me that I'm supposed to follow, but go ahead and speak.
you said it's correct.
Mr. Mayor, we still both have comments as well.
That's fine, I can wait.
So another comment, getting back to the point about the vehicle, as part of your motion, if you would both agree, I think the vehicle should be removed. In addition, I would be for, whether you're for or not, rolling back the raise for the council. I don't think a raise is something that we really need at this time. As far as the benefits, unfortunately, we're saddled with that because of the fact that the city is an employer that qualifies as a entity that is low cost for health. Unfortunately, we can't go into the exchange and buy insurance, so unfortunately, I think the city's gonna be stuck with that. But as far as the increased amount for the raise, I would be fine. We fought the ordinance all these years, they didn't get a raise. I mean, what's 3% really?
You agree with that?
But definitely on the vehicle.
I don't know, I think Mr. Bowden said that, they put that in the motion in 1998, you said, 88? 88,
And I voted for it.
and you voted for it in 1988, that's amazing. I'm in favor of taking that out as well,
So the car and the 3%.
the car and the 3% for the council.
Mayor, may we ask a question of the attorney?
Sure.
The raise, that automatic amount is in the ordinance. So that would have to be modified by ordinance. It's in the code.
Yes, or they could, I'd have to do the research, but I think they can voluntarily waive that.
It's in your,
I know it's in the ordinance,
no, I mean, it's right in front of you if you need to see it.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
but I don't know the legality of the process if the council individually each wanted to waive
Okay.
their increase and have that contributed back into the general fund, which is my understanding where it would go. Or would remain. Clarify.
I didn't get mine.
Okay, I'm gonna second that.
She wants to make some comments, Mayor.
Uh,
She said she wanted to
yeah,
make some.
go ahead.
Okay, on the special events, and I'm sure some others, where I mentioned before where these organizations or entities are grandfathered in, and they're not having to come and request these funds at budget time. And I think they need to request, by application as before, by application, as we, voted on last meeting. So no one's grandfathered in. All of these organizations or entities has to stand before their podium at budget time and request their funds and go through by way of application.
That's correct.
The only problem with that is if those were funded by resolution, there'd have to be a modification of that resolution because that would have the effect of the rule of law on the council. So we'd have to look at each of those entities and the resolutions that granted that funding.
Okay.
Any other comments by council? All right, Mr. Ward.
Mr. Mayor, a great, I think, insult was made to Ms. Annie Maddox. I know many people don't think much of Annie Maddox Park, but Ms. Annie Maddox taught enough of people as a educator, and she went on to become a principal. And there was a time in which in this country it was segregated, and no black children had nowhere to play. And she bought that land from the timber company and developed it so that young black people would have a safe place to play. And you take one entity and you gave it money in the physical year. And we don't have but 3 black historical landmarks in the black community that we hold sacred. That's Richardson, that's Nee Black, and that's Annie Maddox. And I feel, and I'm telling you, I'm gonna feel this way until it's reversed, that you all spit in the face of the most courageous woman who didn't have children, took money out of her life savings to make sure that people after her would have somewhere to play. And that was the most disrespectful thing that Councilman Jernigan did, Mayor that you voted for, and Mr. Sampson voted for. And the most lack of courage that I saw Mr. Hill display and Mr. Vader display, because it's in her district. No one mainly from Mr. Jernigan district goes over to Annie Maddox Park. So why is everybody so concerned about Annie Maddox Park when that's where the issue is at? And that's where the money needs to be put at for programs. No one minds the level 2 if anybody thinks that that's the issue. I don't think nobody would say level 2 background to make sure that we haven't got no sex offenders. No one has a problem with that. The problem was the bias that Annie Maddox got singled out and was told no to the same funding that was given to Richardson. That ain't right, man. You come from good blood, all y'all. If y'all gonna reverse all these other things, the least y'all can do, not for me, not for the board, but for a lady who sacrificed her money and her life to make sure that that park exists. Because if it was not for Miss Annie Maddox, it wouldn't be an Annie Maddox Park. So honor her. Just like y'all made some changes tonight, make some changes to honor this lady. She made a great sacrifice too. Thank you.
All right, that's all we have. Ms. Harris, will you call the roll, please?
I just want to make sure that we have the motion correct.
All right.
So we have the motion to adopt City Council Resolution 2023-102. In addition to that, we're also going to be adding $200K for public assistance from ARPA funds for gun violence prevention programs in honor of Mariah Smith. We're also going to be removing the council vehicle that's in the council's budget, just under, I think, $10,000. We're also going to roll back the 3% increase for the council. And that was all the things that I had for that. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mr. Jernigan?
That is correct.
Mayor Witt?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Jernigan?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
No.
Sorry, Mr. Hill?
No.
No, okay. Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Ms. Young?
Yes.
Okay. We'll move on to City Council Resolution 2023-111. Ken, would you read that back up?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, county has a consultant that advises them on the FEMA reimbursement, the procedures and policies. And they have requested that we consider the interlocal agreement that's placed on in front of each of you tonight. We got the final version. We've been making some changes between myself, Fort Wayne attorney, and Mr. Foreman, and some things that apply to municipality or schools that we had taken out, those sorts of things. And the purpose of the interlocal agreement is that if we need the assistance of the county in helping with the management recovery services, then they can assist us, and this will allow them to request reimbursement payment for those activities to which they assist. And so that's essentially what the interlocal agreement does. Again, we got it, the final version late this afternoon. And so if the council approves entering into the interlocal agreement, we would then prepare resolution 111 confirming the voice vote.
Okay, Ms. Coker, you want to speak to this?
I appreciate the attorney providing that explanation. The agreement is very vague, so if he could further explain the services that are identified in section 4E. Some of these services are services that the city provides. So maybe if you can expound on what would be services out of 4E that the county would actually provide, because again, some of these are services that the city's already providing. So why wouldn't the city of Lake City receive the funds to provide the services that they're already providing for?
The city would continue to provide the services it's providing if they need assistance over and above what they are able to provide, and then they request the county to assist them over and above the capabilities of the current administration. That would allow the county to seek reimbursement from FEMA.
It don't mean we're not.
It may mean that we don't ask for, we may not need any services from the county at all.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, is there a motion as City Council Resolution 2023-111?
Mr. Mayor, make a motion for approval of City Council Resolution 2023-111.
Second.
The motion and a second. Any discussion by council?
Mr. Mayor, I didn't know if Mr. Johnson wanted to make any comment on that, if it's okay.
Sure.
Yes, I just this agreement here between us and the county is more unify the process of it. We might use it, we might not, but we just want to be prepared in case we do need it to have this interlocal agreement in place.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mr. Jernigan?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Ms. Young? Mayor Webb?
Yes. Okay, comments of council, I want to thank Dr. Gray for being here and doing the applications. I want to thank the staff for the hard work doing the budget, and I know it's been tough on everybody, but I appreciate what we're doing and we're making progress. Everybody else. Everybody's good, yeah.
You gonna say how good the meeting was, man?
That's good. All adjourned.